Okay. I'm going
Okay,
to
there we
take,
go. Yeah. Okay, so finally, our first interview after you are officially a published author. So, for the first question, I have to ask you the question every author ever gets asked, and that is, what inspired you to write this book?
I had, I had no intention of writing a book at all. And I had Life Between Lives, Spiritual Regression, which I'll talk about. And after that, I started getting guidance through, in many ways, from my spirit team, including through people. And after I started having a spiritual awakening in the spring of 2024, by the end of 2024 and early 2025, I told friends that I could trust about my journey. A couple, most of them were interested in spirituality. I told about 5 friends, like bits and pieces of my journey. And each one of them said, you need to write a book about this. And every one of them I said to, forget it. And I had a list of excuses why I would never do this. And the excuses were I was too old to write a book. I had no idea how to write a book. And I had no following, so no one was going to buy a book of mine. I really did not want to do it. I was doing other things. I had retired from my job as an attorney, but I was doing other things. And I told them, forget it. I did not want to do it. And then I had a second spiritual regression session, Life Between Lives, with the same facilitator in May of 2025. And among my list of questions was, why do people keep telling me to write a book? I don't want to write a book. And the answer that came from the spirit world was, that's us telling you to write a book. Write a book. I'm like, no. But when it comes from them, even if I don't want to do it, I'm going to do it. It was guidance. It wasn't you have to. It's never you have to. So then the facilitator asked, well, what was the book going to be about? And they gave me a subject. My spirit guide gave me a subject for the book and what it was going to be about. And at that point, I said, okay, I'm going to do this because it's meant to be. And that's what started it. So I started it in about May or June of 2025.
Wonderful. That's such an exciting journey. And I think everyone has that kind of like nudge now and then, to do something, whether it be write a book or anything else. And we ignore it and we make excuses. I mean, that was certainly my response as well many years ago when I had to do my first public kind of like writing with my name on it because I did ghostwriting. I had no problem doing that because my name wasn't attached to it. I could write freely. I didn't have to worry about criticism or people knowing my name. I could just do it. And the minute your name is on something, there's a different feeling. Isn't that so?
Yes, and you remember I said I was not going to put my name on it because people in the legal community knew who I was.
Yeah.
And then I got further guidance on that, and that's precisely the reason to put my name on it, because there are people in the legal community, judges, um, attorneys that I've worked with over the years since 1981 that would read the book because they saw my name on it and would benefit from the book. Whereas if I put a pen name on it, they wouldn't know it was me. And the only reason I didn't want to put my name on it is because it was ego. I was concerned about public ridicule. And first of all, I haven't gotten that. And then I remember that even if I got that, so what? I mean, it's not about what the public thinks. And if I can help one person and 10 people say, give me ridicule, I've still helped one person. So I decided to put my name on it you know, and that was a hard decision, but I knew that was the right decision because a pen name nobody would know who wrote it.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you made that decision. I didn't force you into, either way. I would have been okay with you doing it either way because it's about the message. But like you said, it's because there are certain people who know your name that will benefit from it. And you don't know what that ripple effect looks like in their lives, in their awakening journeys, and in the things that they are going through. So there's certain things they need to learn from your journey, whereas they wouldn't have learned it otherwise if your name wasn't on there. So I 100% agree with that. But so for people who have never heard of your book or have never read your book, um, how would you describe your book in one sentence? What is your book about?
My book is about going from being a person who was always worried, always stressed out, always hating myself, always with lack of hope, to someone who has, who's loves myself unconditionally, has nothing but hope, and has no worry or fear or doubt.
I mean, that's the ultimate transformation. I don't know what else to say about that because that's all of us, anxious, worried, everything is just a big ball of stress. Everything is just something to be stressed about. And I mean, I'm not going to give anything away because in future discussions, we will talk about some of the chapters and some of the things you'll share. Um, but it is the ultimate transformation to go from always anxious to always in a place of peace,
I can't say it's always, I mean, it,
mostly.
there's, there's always, mostly, yeah, I wouldn't be a human being if I didn't have times where there wasn't peace. I mean, there's plenty
Yeah.
of times where there's not peace, but there's no worry about it or fear coming from it. It's, sometimes when I get too busy, I'll feel like, no, I need to slow down because I'm not in a place of peace. But that's
Mm.
not because of worry or fear. It's just the body feels dysregulated.
Yes. Yes. So, what part of the book was the hardest for you to write and why?
Well, it's more than one section. I mean, people who read it will see a lot about my childhood and about my young adulthood and even my middle adulthood. That was hard to write for two reasons. One, I would lie if I said I didn't start reliving the pain of those years, even though I understand what happened. And I am in therapy to do work on those years. I mean, it doesn't just go away. So it was really hard for that reason. When I wrote the spirituality parts, it was joyous because I'm living that, but to relive my childhood and my teenage years and my young adult years was hard. The second reason it was hard, to be honest, is I'm thinking, who is going to want to read pages and pages of somebody's childhood, which is specific to me and may not be anyone else's experience? And that's still, I wouldn't say I'm concerned about that, but it is still a thought that, there's a lot of things in there that aren't about spirituality or that are just about what I went through as a child and young adult. And I'm hoping that when the people read it, anyone reads it, they understand that this is my childhood and adulthood, but it was important that I put in there because it does universally apply in the sense that almost all of us have things in childhood that we want to understand and move beyond.
Mm,
But
definitely.
it
And
was hard to write about all of that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, writing about trauma is always difficult because I read somewhere that when you have a memory or when you think of a memory, you embody the state of being you were in at that time for that remembering to take place. So it's like it's literally reliving that feeling and that trauma. So I can understand that it's difficult and it's hard to do that. Um, but you went through it and you did it. And I'm very grateful that you did it because a lot of people will benefit from your story, especially things you've shared about your early childhood and things that you've went through, and how difficult that was for you. And even though it was, a while ago, the issues you dealt with are still very much the same. You know,
Yeah.
kids going through the same thing and with their families and things like that. So I definitely think it will help a lot of people who are feeling the same as you did. And so, how did writing this book change you, if at all?
It gave me more confidence as I knew that I was um, writing about myself and going to put it out there. It gave me more confidence in myself. I have to admit, I haven't told many people about it, and all the social media makes me really, and interviews makes like I feel really strange about it because I'm not used to it. What I'm used to is trying to be somebody because my ego felt that needed people's approval to to feel good about myself, which never worked. So it's changed me just by doing it, and like saying it's exciting to write about the experiences. As I write about childhood and tie it into the spirituality, I understand it more and more. And I just, it's changed me in the realization that as people read the book, see, I did some spiritual study in the 90s, and I told nobody about it until 2024. And what a difference from the silence I kept for 23 years to now be putting a book there about all of this. That's just seeing that. It's like, wow, what a change from 2001 to 2024.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And I think, it does take time to warm up to these ideas and get used to these ideas and become the person that's ready to share. Because if you do it too prematurely, you might not be able to handle the impact that it has because you don't know what impact it will have. You might get an email from someone saying something that you don't want to hear, or you might get feedback that you're not quite, ready for, or something. And then it might throw you off the bigger path that you are on. So I'm a very firm believer in staying within the timing and what with not staying in a comfortable zone where you don't do anything new, but knowing if something is still feeling scary versus something is feeling exciting and going with that feeling.
No, it's feeling exciting. I think the little nagging, when I'm in spiritual communities, there's this little nagging, excuse me. There's this still little nagging voice that I work all the time on releasing, that whoever's in the spiritual community is quote unquote further along than me. So why are they going to want to read a book by me? I mean, there's that. And I'm really trying to work on that. Because I have this unconditional self-love, but there's that, do I tell a minister of a church about this? This person is a medium. They see spirits. I mean, are they going to read a book by me? And I need to get over that because what's interesting, and I don't mean to go on and on, but this quote unquote looking for negative approval. I have actually been in a position where I've told two people about at my former workplace, no, more four people in my former workplace about what's happening with me. And I got all of their responses were, wow, that's amazing. I'm so glad you're doing that. Tell me more. So I never, I wasn't going to tell anybody I worked with, And I ended up doing it, and the responses were positive. That doesn't mean everybody would respond
Mm.
positively, but I always use the word discernment for what I
Yeah.
do. There are certain people I know not to tell because I know what their paths are and it would turn into an argument. So why start an argument, But I'm guided to who I should tell
Yes.
personally. And I need to start doing that more and
Yeah.
talking to people, and if whatever they say, they say.
Yeah. And
I mean, what I want to add is I want to be in the place. I have a friend in Long Island, and they used to call them UFOs, but now they're like, I don't know what
UAPs.
UAP, unauthorized um aerial phenomena. And she experiences those because she can see into the multidimensional world. And she was interviewed by a newspaper, and it was put online, and she's not shy about sharing these things. And there were just a barrage of comments online that were really nasty, saying, well, the insane asylums are full of people like you, and just all sorts of nastiness. And she saw him and she says, I don't care.
Mm.
I don't care. And that's the place I'm striving to be at, because people are people, and some people are on a different path, and their path is to convince themselves they're right by telling everybody else they're wrong. And
Yeah.
I just have to know that's about them and not about me.
Yes. Yes. And I think that there's also, a decent amount of fear in those responses because people fear the things they don't understand and things that are related to specifically unseen things, things of a more paranormal kind of nature. We've been conditioned as humans to kind of be fearful of these things. So it's not also all their fault that they are fearful, but that's why it is our duty to put these books out so that we can educate them, that we can share these things, that we can be open about what really is going on versus what the media is telling you or what movies are telling you or what, your childhood storybooks were telling you about aliens and UAPs or UFOs and
Right.
past lives and things. It's not what you think it is, and you owe. And this is I'm speaking to people in general. You owe it to yourself to educate yourself, read more, learn more, speak to people who've had these experiences so that you can get a bigger, broader understanding of the topic. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing books with multiple authors in it because you have that multi perspective. It's not just one person's idea of this, so that you need to read 100 books to get a full view. You can look at everyone's perspectives who share and you can come to your own conclusions because no one is trying to convince you to anything or convert you to anything. It's just openly, honestly sharing, and you get to decide what you believe from there. You get to decide, do I want to hold on to my fear? You are welcome to do so. You want to let it go and be open to something new? You are welcome to do so. You have free will at the end of the day. You can use it. So that's how I feel, and I also feel like with people being negative and saying negative things, like you said, it's nothing to do with you. We tend to make it about us and internalize it, but it's more about them than it is about you. So I get it. I get it. And I feel like that holds back a lot of people from sharing and from writing. So I want to know from you, what would you say to someone who feels like they are not ready to write their book or they are not ready to write about their experiences and share them publicly?
I mean, I don't like to give advice, and you'll see in the book that I don't give advice. I say this is my path. But if the person asks me, I would put it in terms of what I did, not what they should do, because everybody's in a different place. Maybe there's a legitimate, I don't want to use that term even. Maybe there's a good reason that's within them not to do that. Like they're with their family and their family would and they need the support from their family and their family would cut off that support and they'd be out on the street. I'm not going to advise that person to go write a book. So it depends on the circumstances. Um, what I would tell them I did is that I do a lot of work on unconditional self-love. I do a lot of work on trust because part of the basis for for feeling that way and not putting things out there is as I said before, I had a pattern of feeling like I needed people's validation. And for me, the spiritual, you'll learn later in other interviews, the spiritual path was new to me. I did not have that growing up or as a young adult. So I felt like I didn't tell anybody because I felt like if they made fun of me or whatever, questioned me, they were right and I was quote unquote and I was wrong, quote unquote. And I felt like everybody needed to validate me before I was firm in my conviction of my truth. So I would tell them that's what was stopping me, is that feeling like I needed validation and feeling like I needed approval. So my only advice to the person would be to examine what was stopping them and to just do what they needed to do and only they knew what they needed to do to examine the reasons for them stopping them. And my therapist, when I tell her about situations that need change, she said last week, she said, are you running away from something or are you running towards something when you make a change? And so if a person's thinking of making a change to actually write a book, um, they could ask themselves that question. Are you running away from something? Are you running away from writing a book because you're procrastinating or you're afraid of something? Or you're running towards something, like you're running towards continued financial security. And if you won't have that if this is the time you write the book. So that's also a good way for me to look at it. What are you running away from and what are you running towards?
Yeah, I think that's very good advice. As you were speaking, I was thinking of my own instances where I was running away from something versus running towards something. And there's a very different type of energy that comes with that. The running away from something is more like fear, desperation, and the running towards something is more excitement and interest and curiosity. It's a whole different feeling, it's a whole different vibration, and that really makes all the difference. I agree with you. So, what did you learn from the publishing process that really surprised you or that you didn't expect?
Well, I had your help and I'd say, and you didn't tell me to say this, that if someone wants to do this, they should contact you because I couldn't do this on my own. Because it was so easy. I mean, with you, it was so easy. I could never have done it on my own, but people do. I mean, because there are people who are living paycheck to paycheck. And I had a friend like that. We've parted ways, but she's gone through it and she had, and everybody's different. She's had a lot of problems with it because she's not real familiar with the computer programs that do the illustrations and things like that. So I don't know what advice to give people who need to do it on their own. I'm not going to tell them it's going to be difficult or easy. It depends on the person, how much the tech savvy they are, and if they have friends to help them or whatever. But if they can see you, I would say to do it
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet, Lynn.
because I had no stress I had no, it was so easy and so smooth and it didn't take that much time. I think I started it in May of 2025. So
Yeah. Yeah, and the only reason we really took a break, we would have published way sooner, is because I had a baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
we
we
would
took
have
a couple of months, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
we would have published way sooner if I didn't have a baby. The last month was I just couldn't work anymore. And then when the baby came, it was like, okay, I had to at least take a month to, just be with my baby. So, I mean, thank you so much for your patience and for your kind words. I loved working on your book. It was one of my favorite books to work on. I especially liked working with you because you have the mindset of, I don't know anything. I'm just writing from my experience. Don't take my word for it, but this is what I'm saying. And that is the best place to write from because it's not coming from ego. It's not coming from, look at me, listen to me. I have all the answers. I have all the knowledge. I have all the wisdom. And today, unfortunately, we see too much of that. People speak with so much. I don't want confidence is not the right word. There's kind of like an underlying arrogance that they know everything. And honestly, no one can know everything. Even if you are the most enlightened being in the world, you cannot know everything because you are not the knower of all. So it's like having that, humility is really important and it really comes through and it's very beautiful to read in your words. So I'm very grateful that you chose me to help you with this.
I appreciate it. I mean, like I say, I I stay away from that. I do share, when I talk to people, I share this is what I did. Are you interested in hearing more? And if they're interested, I tell them more about what I did. I don't tell them to do it. I just don't know. But yeah, what I try to remind each of us, if we were the most advanced species in the universe, we'd still only have while we're in any kind of bodies, we'd still only have a tiny fraction of the whole. And I kind of laugh that I shouldn't say this, but there are a lot of, to me, I believe that there are a lot of different planets with a lot of different worlds with a lot of different intelligent life on them. And human beings are nowhere near the top of the intelligence scale in what's on other worlds and how they've advanced. And even so, when a human being says, I know the answer, I just kind of remind myself, because I can get into this person studied spirituality for years. They know more than I do. But then I have to remind myself they're human, they're living a human experience. And the brain, because the body would explode if it had too much information, we only have a tiny fraction of the information. And what we do get, every one of us puts it through the filter of the human brain. So we just don't know.
Yeah. And even though there are people who know more than you, there are people who know less than you as well. So you could be a guiding light for them. It's not going to be for everyone, but there are those
Yeah.
that are resonant, that are going to resonate with your work and be called to it.
Well, I'm fascinated by the near-death experiences. I haven't had one, but I've listened to near-death experiences. I love
Same.
listening to them. No two near-death experiences are the same, which is really interesting. And it's because that this is another factor. Each of us gets what we need.
Yeah.
Each of us gets what's part of our path. And that's what makes it so beautiful because it's so
Yes.
vast. Each of us can get what we need.
Yes. Yes. My 7-year-old, she says, you get what you get and you don't get upset. I love that. So if there is one message that you would like, the readers of your book to get, or one kind of key idea you really want to leave your readers with, what would that be?
Well, anything in the book is my guidance, but a universal message that I would give to everybody is never give up. There's always hope. Whatever path you take or whatever your journey, there's always hope. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even the darkest looking tunnel.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. So, what is next for you, Lynn? Now that you are an official published author, what is next for you spiritually, creatively?
That's a good question. I mean, I stay away from to-do lists and just let it flow because otherwise I get stressed. I do have a website, which I guess we'll talk about later. And what I'm doing with that is I have a friend who's helping me again market it in a way that's discerning. So I'm hoping that I know it'll reach the people it needs to reach, however many people there are. A friend and we may move the platform, and this I do want people to keep an eye out for because it's not for me. We are monthly, and it's going to be on the third Saturday of the month. We do a collective meditation on you. Right now it's on YouTube, but we're looking for a sponsor for it, for just for world harmony, just whatever your political position is, just envisioning all the world leaders and people in power, whoever they are, and sending high vibrational energy to them so they can recognize the souls, that they are souls and they are light, and move beyond the ego and the fear. So this world can move beyond the ego and the fear. And the more people we gather, the better it is. So we're doing that. I started, I do a lot of spiritual work on myself. I'm in a number of groups. I'm in some in-person groups and some online groups. I don't want to be, I was an attorney for a long time, and it's come to the time where I don't want to be busy, busy, busy all the time. Because I could, but I do want to help humanity. I mean, I could just, sometimes I think I'm going to go on a tropical island and just meditate, but that would be great. But I do want to help humanity somehow in a small way. I don't want to be like a, major leader that goes traveling around the world or anything. And I want to help people in a spiritual way, however I can.
Yeah.
And what I know is that I always get guidance from my own higher self and from my spirit team as to what's next when there's something next to be done. But it's always step by step. And the step right now is letting people know about the things I'm doing and doing more spiritual study. So, and
Yes.
spiritual practice, not just studying. I don't read that many books. It's more about practice now.
Yes. Yes. And you can help from anywhere you are. So if you want to go to that tropical island, you can do so. You can help people from there too.
I like having the community.
Yeah.
I spent a
Yeah.
number of years isolated after COVID, and I like having the community.
Yeah. Yeah. And another new thing that you will be working on soon coming up is the collective book that we're doing together as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So that's community
you
based
know,
as well.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've learned that I learned from community.
Yeah.
My awareness expands when by learning from others,
Yes.
just hearing their experiences, sharing, being in the same room with people who are on a spiritual path.
Same.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's my plan for I just don't, I just let it unfold. I know I'll
Yes.
never be bored.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, the next time that we speak, we'll be going through, I have some questions about your chapter one and chapter two, some things that I want to, just pick your brain on and get some of your perspectives on. So that will be in the next chit chat that we do. So, is there anything else that you would like to say before we say goodbye?
Um, no, I believe I don't that there's also things in the preamble or whatever before chapter one. I'm not sure where chapter one started, so I'll have to take another look. And I'll have to take another look. And I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Um, I don't know. I have a website, and I'm not telling people for the purpose of getting them to come to my website, but that my website has my contact information on it. And maybe if it could be posted as part of the interview, and the reason I say that is even if you don't, the website, it's for stress at work.
Burnout.
What I want
Yeah.
to make clear to people is that if they don't need anything on the website, it doesn't matter. It is the way to contact me
Yeah.
because links are on there and my email address is on there. And it's
Yeah.
just the easiest way to contact me. So if you look at the website and you say, that's a great website, I don't need help with this, just use it to contact me for anything. I don't want to limit it to people who need the website.
Yeah. I'll definitely put your contact details, your website, the link to your book and everything. I'll put it in the description so people can find it easily and they can contact you if they need to, and they can definitely buy your book and definitely leave a review on Amazon. It helps so much. So thank you so much for speaking to me today, Lynn. I really appreciate it. I always love speaking to you.
Well, you too.
And I'll see you in a week. We'll chit chat
Right.
about your next topic.
Sure.
Wonderful.